Done. It's starting.
Hello and welcome to this cricket podcast, Round the Clock Cricket. And I have with me my esteemed guests for the evening. We are just on the eve of the World Test Championship finals, which will be held on 11th of June. And with my esteemed panelists, I have Mr. Amitava Bhattacharya, I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
Rajiv, I have Sudeep, and I have Rahul as the experts. And a lot of things have happened after we had done our last podcast. I think, the most exciting news is Mahinder Singh Dhoni becomes a wall of champions now in the Hall of Fame in ICC. So that's a good news. Other than that, let's dive into directly into we will be discussing specially today on the World Test Championship final. And the first question which I will have for the panel would be, and it's a bit of a tricky question, and my question first will be for Rajiv. Rajiv, do you think that the two teams that is playing this World Test Championship finals are the deserved ones to come up and play this?
Okay, so yesterday many of you know my rant on the WhatsApp group. Not only with you guys, I ranted the same with another WhatsApp group also. So my feeling is that the first thing is Australia definitely deserved to be there, right? They played all through, they have played very good cricket. They've held on to their summers very well, which means that their home series have gone very well. They had good away test wins also. So I think there's no doubt that Australia needs to be there and they are there very, very deservingly. But when it comes to South Africa, I have my own doubts. So I'll give you a very small thing. So they have not played Australia, they have not played England, okay? They played India, they had 1-1, and I think in an away series, they went to New Zealand and they lost to them. All the other home series was played against West Indies, Pakistan, and I don't like to demean any team, but then we spoke about this in the podcast before also, that this WTC has to be an exclusive club, right? I mean, it is governed and run by I-SENA countries. That is India plus SENA countries only. So the others are just not participating well. They play two test championship series and all those stuff. So unless you play three tests, four tests, or even five tests, it doesn't really make a difference. So for me, South Africa doesn't really be there. But then I might sound like a very bitter opponent, saying that who am I to call? I mean, there was rules made for it and they have qualified. So that ways you have to give it to South Africa. They're playing it. But this entire WTC itself, so given an option today, if I am looking forward to the India versus England series, and even the BGT series is far bigger, or the Ashes is far bigger than this WTC. So there will be a champion at the end of the day, which we will discuss whom we think would happen. But I don't think that this is the same way New Zealand also got a back end entry in 2021 and they at Southampton, right?
True, true,
So
true.
yeah, so unless everybody plays everything, which happens in a World Cup, this is not happening that way. So for me, it
So,
doesn't work.
Rajiv, so what you're basically trying to say is, do we need to have the top five playing each other at least minimum twice before they
Yeah,
qualify?
yeah, yeah. So we can have a separate discussion on
Yeah,
how
yeah, but
WTC should be
more or
formulated.
less.
For me, Australia is good enough. South Africa is lucky to be here. Honestly, they're just lucky to be there.
Right.
Yeah, thanks,
Any other
Sagar.
views from Sudeep,
So
Rahul?
I think
I think
Amitabh has a
the
view.
I think the structure of WTC itself, it requires a review. Who plays whom? If you take the example of South Africa, they have done well in home series. Okay, India they drew, Australia
Yeah,
they never even played.
yeah.
Only thing worthwhile is possibly they won against New Zealand, right? Without playing the top teams, they've somehow scraped to the finals. Courtesy India's loss to New Zealand. If India had managed New Zealand at home and even lost the BGT, I don't think South Africa would have qualified.
No, mathematically it was not possible.
Correct? So, so I think who plays whom, how many times, and if somebody is getting an unfair home advantage of playing weaker teams at home, and some teams they don't even play.
Yeah.
I mean, that is exactly what is happening in this
So
WTC.
South Africa, I remember, played Pakistan at home, hosted
Yeah.
Pakistan at home,
Yeah.
and they visited Bangladesh for an away series,
Right.
where that stretch of 7 wins
Right.
on a row actually started. So your point taken. And going forward from this question only, an additional or maybe a supplementary question to it. So now that it is done and dusted, okay, the rules are rules. Okay, New Zealand got a backdoor entry in the first with Australia getting docked some points. Now this time around, it South Africa has gone through, but so be it. Now, even with it, now first on Australia, did you think that Australia had the better of the draw with a lot of home series and again, not the best of people except the BGT?
Let's agree to one fact. I mean, they're a good team, right? I mean,
True.
they have the most consistent fast bowling attack, and all three of them, and on their given days, be it Hazelwood or Stark or Cummins, they are world-class bowlers, right? Even their batters are good. Sometimes they fail, and they fail versus India's, and that gives us the hope sometimes. But when it comes to a crunch situation, I think it was Brisbane, and then how they managed the game at Sydney. They are a top team. They're a world-class team. So let us not even get there. Let us not say the previous WTC final was a fluke. So they kind of defeated us every session. I was there at the Oval, wherein
Okay.
the first session where I think India was somewhere around 73 for 3, and
Yeah.
then that Travis Head innings happened, right?
Blitzkrieg happened. Yes.
It happened, right? And the match slipped away by late on the first day. They had,
Yeah, itself.
they had a mammoth score, right? So Australia is a world class team, and I'm pretty sure that this time also they are going to fare reasonably well.
So, yes, actually, truth be said, they should have been in the first one also, first
Yes,
WTC
absolutely,
final also.
absolutely.
So, now coming to South Africa, and my question will be to Rahul. Rahul, do you think South Africa, the way they grind it out? I mean, see, let's take it head on. 7 wins on a row is not a matter of joke. So they did grind it out, right, Rahul?
Yeah, they did, but taking a cue from Amitabh and what Amitabh was saying very truly, and that opens a Pandora's box actually, Sagar. But whether the top teams, Sena teams in India play a Division One elite division, and there is a plate division, which happens in Ranji also. Which Clive Lloyd had seriously opposed. And that, again, I said, will open a lot of discussion because then the lower countries like Ireland, Bangladesh, who are in the fringes, will never be able to match with the higher countries and they will never grow also. So ICC's basic objective is to grow cricket, which will not happen with this ITC. Having said that, Amitabh is absolutely right because there are flaws in this particular system. The point docking system, which we can have a podcast on the entire point docking system, in which India has refuted. I was just going through the docking system. India got docked, I think, in the last cycle also when
Yes.
they were playing New Zealand. Yeah, they got docked. So I think the luck of the draw went, as Rajiv pointed out, the luck of the draw went with South Africa. Having said that, I've been writing in my page also, I think all of you have seen that. Having said that, South Africa is going to surprise. I'm telling you, they're going to surprise because
We'll
two
come to
reasons.
that. We'll come to the
Yeah,
futuristic discussions a bit later. So
yeah.
now, going forward, now that Australia has already declared its team today in the evening,
And South
and in
Africa also.
fact,
Both South
South
Africa, both
Africa
South
also
Africa.
did.
Yeah.
So my questions regarding the team now. Now that we know the team, Sudeep, can you just say who can be? I mean, in your view, who can
Yeah.
be that one game changer for the team for the Australian team?
Uh, for the Australian team, uh, as far as the batting is concerned, uh, I would like to point out that there are two persons whom you can depend, who have been consistent. Steve Smith is one person who has always delivered in very difficult situations in the past. And one is, very unpredictable, but if he clicks, then he's a single-handed match winner, is Travis Head, as far as the bowling is concerned. So these two players are the ones to watch out for. And the bowling, of course, is extremely formidable with lots of experience. Uh, we are talking about the Pacers, but come the third day or the fourth day, Nathan Lyon can be, deadly in such pitches when provided there are no rains and the weather stays fine. So wicket is going to dry out and there might be a lot of turn. And Nathan Lyon is quite deadly in such pitches. But as far as bowlers is concerned, I would definitely go for, Pat Cummins. Stark can bowl in brilliantly in spells, but if you want a consistent bowler who can bowl consistently, it has to be Pat Cummins. So these are the players I would look out for, as far as Australia is concerned.
And just to add on to your, I mean, the point regarding the weather,
Yeah,
it's one of the most driest weather,
yeah,
driest
it is
summers
fine.
that
There's
is
no
in
rains,
England.
no rains so far, no
So
forecast.
over the next 5 days, I was just checking out Lord's in London's thing, weather forecast, and it says on an average it will be 22 to 25 degrees Celsius
Yeah,
with 0% chance of rain, and there will be a bit of cloud cover
yeah,
come
yeah.
the third day. A bit of
Actually, the first
cloud cover
day, first 2 hours is very going to
can
be
be, yeah,
crucial. Actually,
crucial.
because that
Yeah.
is going to aid, the pace bowlers. That part.
True. So, Rahul, I think you wanted to say
Yeah,
something regarding
I
this.
have a
Yeah,
point, which is that I think I was going to the press conference of Pat Cummins, which it was live when we were talking in the evening.
Yeah.
And he made a point, 2 points he made, very, very briefly. One is that Marnus Labuschagne is a stopgap opener, which I am
yeah.
extremely against it, which I don't like. He said, no, that's a one-off test we'll play. I mean, throughout the series, I find Australia to be a team which is the first boy in the class, but desperately trying to cling to their position and desperately trying to become the first boy when knowing the second boy actually is better than the first boy. You
So,
know
do
what I'm
you
trying
say
to say?
that Marnus Labuschagne opening the batting
Yeah,
is a weak link?
see, we'll get another in the next podcast, maybe along with Amitabh. Kural will be there. We'll get Raj also, who's my friend in Australia, who's very close to the Australian cricket team, and he's in the group. He will tell you, Marnus Labuschagne has been invested for 7 years by CA, Cricket Australia, 7 years. Yeah. In India, no one will invest. I'll take a very short time. But if you look at Marnus Labuschagne's performance, I have it with me. In the last 3 years, his average has been pathetic. His just average has
Right.
been pathetic, like 32, 27, and 21. So over a period of 80, 21 test matches. So over a period of 21 test matches, 32, 21, 25. I think it's like Virat Kohli. I should not be saying, but it's a Virat Kohli type of performance. And you were investing and he was saying that he's one of the greatest players. And he scored 600s in his first 3 years. And if you remember that he came as a concussion expert too, a concussion substitute to Steve Smith in the 19th series when no one knew about him. And suddenly, it was as a concussion, he became the first guy concussion substitute to score 100.
So,
But I
Rahul,
think,
just
yeah,
pointing over here. So, you basically, what I get from you is while we were talking about the strengths, now you're saying Australia's opening might be the weak link, right? That's what
and
you're coming to?
there's another one, which I raised the hand. Hazelwood has got a back spasm. 24 hours back the line, he was not sure he was going to play. That's why I think I have shared that in the group also, the interview, the press conference. He's very lucky not to be replaced by Scott Boland. That's why I think in the entire interview, like Karan, Shreyas Iyer, piece, Gautam Gambhir was very fidgety in that interview before he left India. Cummins had to defend Boland, saying that it's a one-off test. He should not consider it as a final, a one-off test. He's very unlucky he will play. Because the information till yesterday was Boland is going to play because he's a back spasm. With Hazelwood back spasm and Labuschagne's form very iffy, and in the counties also iffy. I don't know.
And to top
We'll
it
see.
all,
Yep.
this Cameron Green also cannot bowl because he has just recovered from injury. He can only bat. He'll only
Yeah,
bat.
yeah,
So I think
correct.
they might run short of bowlers if suppose
Bowlers,
Hazelwood is not
absolute.
able to last
Last.
the
I
entire
have a
grind.
feeling that he's not able to last. I don't know, Amitabh, your thoughts on Hazelwood?
See, Hazelwood, Stark, Cummins versus Jansen, Rabada,
Rabada?
And
and
Ngidi. Ngidi.
and
Not
Ngidi.
Ngidi.
Ngidi, right?
Ngidi,
Yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ngidi.
I think the Aussies, they have an upper hand. That is because of the experience. That is also because of the experience of playing on greener wickets and also on drier wickets. Yeah. I
Yep.
think Australia has an edge. I think Australia has an edge.
So basically, you're saying because of the presence of Mitchell Stark, who can actually swing it at the start, and as well as on day 3, maybe 4 and 5 also, maybe day 4 and
Absolutely.
5.
Yeah.
Mitchell Stark is actually extremely dangerous with his.
I'm not seeing any of the spinners, either Keshav or
Leo.
Raj.
Leo.
Netherlands, playing a huge role in this test match. It'll be the fast bowlers who's going to rule the roost in
Okay,
terms of
okay.
the bowling repertoire of both the teams.
So, taking that into consideration, and my question will be now to Rajiv, sorry. Rajiv, what do you think is South Africa's strength in this? Who can be that one or two player which can win it for South Africa?
Okay, so first I think that Australia is going to they're going to smash South Africa. I don't think South Africa have it in them to even win because they have choked at very, very important, crucial moments. Australia has done this before and they are the favorites there. And I think there's another bowler, Buster, who played that last test against in Sydney
Yep,
against
Yeah.
India,
yep,
right?
yep,
Lee
yep.
Webster.
So
Lee
he's
Webster.
a, yeah,
Webster.
he's a good guy.
Lee
So
Webster.
they have the resources. Don't worry about it. But having said that, if South Africa have to see the junior team or the team which is the underdog, if they have to win, it's the bowling which has to win it for you. The batters can't win it for you. It's the bowling which has to win it for you, which means that I think Rabada has to play a very, very important role here. He's not played. There's been a lot of negative news against him. And I think he is the guy who can make it happen for South Africa, I feel. The other thing is Nigidi and all, they are good bowlers, but they have to play a very good support to him, to Rabada and get it done. The other player who has to, I spoke about 275, 300 being that one score, which really helps you to get there, is Markram. Markram is the guy who has to do or fire or whatever we want to call. He has to do it. They have some exciting talent, but on a final, whichever way Cummins puts it, like a one-off test or anything, Australia know how to win big matches. We have seen that. They have done this before. So South African bowling is the only chance they have to make that mark. So I think Rabada, and I think in batting they still need to score that runs, right? For the bowlers to come into play. So Markram, I think, is the so these are the two players I think South Africa have to really look up to them to get it done. But yeah, it's a final, so you never know. But I'll put all my bet on Australia.
I
So
quite
Thanks.
yeah,
agree
people
with
like
Rajiv.
sorry.
I quite agree with Rajiv. Uh, I think South Africa, their bowling prowess has a better edge than their batting. If somehow South Africa wins the toss, bowls first, they will try to punch above their weight. No doubt about that. Right? If they can get 3-4 quick wickets, then game on. But if Australia gets onto a 100-200 start, okay, by tea time tomorrow, with say 2 wickets down, then it will be impossible for South Africa to get back into this game. It's
Yeah.
because
So I mean, basically, you're saying
the South Africa bowling versus the Aussie batting. Thereafter, you have the blitzkrieg of the Aussie bowling coming.
the middle order. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the toss also becomes important for South
Yeah,
Africa.
absolutely.
Yeah, Rajiv. Yes, Rajiv.
Just one statement I wanted to make. So in the
Mhm.
one of the home series, South Africa played it against Pakistan. They
Mhm.
almost huffed and puffed to get to 200 in the fourth innings. You know that? It is
Correct.
basically that mindset of them not able to get there. I mean, in a home series, that too against a tier 2 team like Pakistan, you can't get to 200. It's unbelievable. They almost botched up the match.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
yeah, so
I
South
remember.
Africa has this habit of, they lose from many end, 30 of 30. Who can forget? So, anyways,
Anyways, so moving ahead now, like, okay, so what we can then think is Australia should be the runaway favorites, but the change in the narrative can happen if South Africa wins the toss, bowls, and by chance, if it's a cloudy morning, maybe with 3-4 wickets down, things can be a bit different. Yes, Rahul, your
I have a
last.
question. I have a question for both Rajiv and Amitabh, and that is, since Leo plays, I've been watching them. We all know that Leo plays irrespective of this pitch. Irrespective, like Ashwin was replaced by Jadeja in overseas conditions. Leo plays even because they don't have a second spinner. Leo plays even if there's a grass, Leo plays. Even if there's not a grass, Leo plays. So England now being dry but still there'll be grass, which rightly said by Amitabh that I've also watched in a test match at Lords. June, it will be really grass and swings. It swings both ways. The year, if you remember, Amitabh Saurabh got his debut 100. There was a guy called Mark Elam, very small, dibbly bowler, and Ronnie Irani. Ronnie Irani used to bowl dibbly swingers along with Dominic Cock. That's the year which Saurabh got 100 along with Rahul. So my question is, could Leo be replaced by Scott Boland for this test match? Given that Leo may not play any role.
No, he won't be replaced. He won't be replaced. See, Leon is taken more than 500 wickets. He knows how to take break partnerships. A key was in Sydney against Shubman Gill. He made the concentration of Gill went off, and then he got him caught at slips. So Leon is perfectly capable of doing such things. Scott Boland himself should be playing instead of Josh Hazelwood if Josh Hazelwood is injured. That's my take. But if they have announced the 11, then that's fine. But Leon will play. He'll play because
So you're saying irrespective of the grass, Leo will play. And they will keep grass,
play
I think.
him,
For the first 2 days, there will be grass.
No, they'll play him. They'll play him. He's a good bowler.
Amitabh, your thoughts on this?
No, Nathan will play for sure. He'll play because especially Australia is batting second. Then, sorry, if it's bowling second by chance, then Nathan Lyon will definitely come into action in the fourth innings. There's no doubt about it. He's going to play.
Okay.
So moving on, my next question, and this one I will not name anyone. You can pick your thing. So what I think is, with historical trends and everything that we have, do you think that the Australia versus South Africa is the next big rivalry in Test cricket, considering that the stats from 2015 says that South Africa has been winning more than Australia, India going through a huge transformation phase. I don't see any other team, New Zealand with, again, not to that stature. So and England also, it's a very, very unpredictable team. So how do you seriously think that South Africa versus Australia is the next big thing in Test cricket? Rahul.
Yeah, this is the question I also raised yesterday. I think so. Yes, it is. Provided South Africa has got a bench, which they're like India, they're going to supply that bowling strength, which Amitabh said. If you look at historically why South Africa choked, it's mostly they choked not because of the bowlers. They have choked because of their batters, which Rajiv said. If they half and puff to get 250 on a fourth in a last bowl in Dubai, then there is no point. I mean, they should not be in the top tier league. And if you look at the way South Africa plays, I remember still very clearly the 96 test match in Eden Gardens, where Azharuddin scored one of the fastest test hundreds of all times. And then someone called Lance Klusener came and bowled a spell, which I think was the best spell I've ever seen in the history of game at Eden Gardens in my life, 8 for 72. He just ripped away India. Saurav, Sachin, Lakshman ripped. He just ripped away the entire middle order, and 8 for 72, the match was over, in spite of the wonderful 100 by Azhar. So, South Africa's bane has been bowling. In spite of the negativity of Rabada, I personally feel, and that's a very strong feeling I have, that this team, and why I'm saying this is because why I'm saying it's 65-35, I've said this to Amitabh today morning, but yet, and I'm officially saying that Australia is going to win, but still somehow I have a feeling because of this reason, is because I have a huge question mark on Usman Khwaja and Manas Labuschagne. The same reason why I don't like KL Rahul to open, because he's the most experienced batter with 58 test matches. If he fails, and Shubman Gill at 4 will have tremendous pressure as a newcomer and a captain. And we normally in a new team, the captain does not, go back, and the experienced batter goes back. If it's the experienced batter, that's why I wanted Rahul to be captain for a year, and then Shubman. Coming back very first to this, I think South Africa will become the new if Aiden Makram and they've lost Dean Elgar. That is a very sad part with Shukri Conrad, the new coach coming in, and he got rid of, like the way Gigi is getting rid, he got rid of Elgar. So getting rid of Elgar was a thing that's going to hurt now South Africa, because if you've seen his performance was awesome in the last WTC cycle also. So This can be the new order. This will be a new order, provided the transition of Australia is also in a similar fashion. 8 people, I'm telling you, will retire. 6 people are going to retire. Stark, Hazlewood, they're on 35. Usman Khwaja, Steve Smith. These 4 are going to retire in the next 2 years because Australia doesn't have a star culture in which the first time I bumped into Amitabh was the star culture a few months back in Facebook. It is not India. They will, if I might use the word, they will kick out. Steve Smith was told very politely to retire, and he had to retire to prolong his other career. So Usman Khwaja knows that there's a discussion with CS Chief Sutherland, Triff Sutherland, who's the CEO, that if he doesn't perform, he will go. But they are only sticking to him because of the 232 he did in Sri Lanka. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stuck to him. They
So
will have
Rahul,
got stuck. Yeah.
So Rahul, what I understand is, so while we are expecting that this may be the next big thing in terms of rivalry, but still we have still got a doubt with
Yeah,
Australia
the
in most
supply line.
probability is going through a transition.
Australia's supply
In
line is going to be critical in the next few years. Otherwise, I will
generally,
tell you,
Australia has a good supply line, generally by
England has a good
design.
supply line, and you also know that County England has got a real good supply line, and England
True.
might be the new order.
Okay. Rajiv, your point of view, you raise your hand.
Yeah, so my thought is that, see, when we talk about rivalries, on-field performances obviously make a big difference. So I'm with that. So good, Australia, South Africa, they're competing and fine. But there is South Africa at this point of time are playing only two test series and all those stuff. They don't even play 3 test series. They're playing 2 test series. They're they're not playing so much. And the amount of players who are coming in are not the most exciting. So I don't think they can last so much. They can't last so much to go the grind and get towards 2027 World Cup or WTC or anything. So this rivalry thing doesn't hold for me. The other thing, fans decide which is the rivalry which is important. And at this point of time, you have only 3 fans: India, England, and Australia, specifically for Test cricket. So the rivalry will revolve around here only. So I India Pakistan rivalry is a different set, but it's not in Test cricket. If at all match happens, it is going to be white ball cricket, not red ball cricket. So
All
these
right.
3 only will have the holding. South Africa don't have a chance for any rivalry because they don't have the investment in all these circumstances. They may have the
True.
performance sometimes, but not the investment. So,
True.
fans, economics, everything has to come together. So that's my point of
And
view.
taking that forward only, I'll ask Sudeep. Sudeep, so what do you think? We will, in that case, if by chance India, so this so-called transition is strong enough, so the rivalry can again go back to India-Australia with Australia also transitioning.
Yeah, yeah. I think India, Australia will always be a formidable rival. They will continue to remain rivals, and as far as South Africa is concerned, just like India, it is also in a process of transition. If you look at the playing 11, they are very
Hmm.
short of experience. If you look at
True.
especially the batsmen, there is
Yeah, Ryan
hardly any
Richardson.
experience. There are hardly any experience, and see the rivalry you are talking about, it has to generate some emotions, as Mr. Rajiv ji correctly pointed out. That emotional content of Australia, South Africa, I don't think it can match the Ashes or India, Australia, or these two countries.
I
Yeah.
completely
So
agree
i
with you.
i
Yeah,
think, yeah.
completely
And
agree
one
with
more
you.
thing, that a lot will depend on the results. If Australia manages to bash South Africa, it will be back to square one again. So I
Uh,
don't. A lot will depend on the result of this particular
so
final.
basically, you say that if South
Can
Africa
upset
wins,
because Australia are
upsets and
the
wins.
firm
So
favorites.
that's what I'm coming to. So if
Yeah,
so, you're saying that if Australia wins, upsets sorry, South Africa
South
upsets and
Africa.
wins,
Uh, uh,
there will be
uh,
a much more crowd engagement, and there may
yeah,
be a
crowd
bit of a
engagement will
revival.
increase in South, and maybe. But if you look at the past encounters, and Australia, South Africa Test series, or whatever, the any kind of match, it is always a tough match, and it
True,
always
true.
stays very close most of the time.
Let's see. Hope for the
But to
best team
say that
wins, actually.
but to say that it is a new order, I think it's still early days.
It's real.
A lot will depend
Right.
on the result. That's what I
True,
feel.
true.
Yeah.
Yes, Rahul, you
I have a
wanted to say something.
yeah, I have a counter to Rajiv. He's saying that we agree with him that the new rivalry is India, Australia, England. But a lot will depend, as Sudeep rightly said, on the result of this India-England series. If India with
Okay.
this transitional team loses 0-4, which I am very confident is going to lose very heavily. In the last podcast, we also decided it's going to lose heavily. And with the 0-3 in New Zealand, which Amitabh said, the first time we lost our series at home after 2012, I don't think this rivalry will pan out. India's rivalry and India will take time to build, which we discussed in the last phase of our last podcast, that India by the 2026, when they're going to play, even if they lose 0-4, they might qualify for the WTC final because the New Zealand series need to be encountered. So New Zealand at 2026 end, otherwise they're playing all at home. They will win. This team is in a very, very bad transition. With Shami, I can be confident Shami is out. Shami, I don't think will play for India again. That is very sure because India
Right,
is
right,
playing at
Rahul.
home and India will not play. So I think it all will boil down to this series, whether the next rivalry will be India. Otherwise, I think Australia, England could be the next one. Again, provided Australia's transition is okay.
Okay. Amitabh, you're
You
on mute,
unmute,
Amitabh.
unmute,
Amitabh.
unmute.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
First of all, the question whether Australia versus South Africa is the new world order.
Yeah.
No, I think it's an aberration. These guys, I respect the South African team, but the Proteas, they have qualified by the vagaries of the point system. So this is a
True,
one-off.
true.
And I don't think they'll last more than 4 days. This test match will not last more than 4 days, right?
So the closing, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. If you look at the point system of WTC, it doesn't matter how many series we win or lose in the PCT percentage, right? It is absolutely important for India not to lose 5 test matches in England. Headingley,
Correct.
maybe up north, lot of swing, greens, fine,
Yeah.
right? But later in the series, test number 3, 4, 5, India should try to pick up valuable points. It's a question of away series, how many points you can salvage, right? And then you look at the home advantage. You have
Yeah.
a 5-test series versus England.
Yes.
Take care of that end of next year.
Yeah.
Versus Australia. Make hay of
Australia, you
Australia.
have next
5 test.
2026.
That's 26,
Yeah.
26,
And
27. beginning.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the 5 test matches that you have versus England now, and the 2 test matches that you have versus New Zealand
Yes.
at New,
27.
try to ensure you pick up as many points as possible. You don't have to win it, but
Okay.
go to New Zealand, don't lose both the games. Go to
Okay.
England, don't lose all 5 games. Pick up points. India will bounce back. Like India is also rebuilding, the others are also in the same process. And trust you me, the Indian guys, I mean, we are only seeing their IPL performance, but before that, whether it is Karun Nair or Sai Sudarshan, they have scored tons of run.
Tons of runs. Tons of runs.
Tons of run in domestic. KL Rahul, tons of run. Yeah. So I think this Indian team, the young Indian team, and we can discuss it closer to
On it
20th.
later. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
later, I think there's some surprise in store for us, for all of us. Yeah.
Yes. So I think this is a good point to pick up, and I think we will have this discussion post the
Sure.
first test.
Sure.
Let's see how the first test pans out, and
Yep.
then we will look ahead to this on the India
Absolutely.
part of it.
Yeah.
So the closing statement is, Proteas, good luck that you are here, but you may not be here for too long. That's what I
Absolutely.
take out of this whole discussion. So again, coming back to the WTC, and this becomes more with the people who have actually been to Lords and seen a cricket match in Lords. So how do you think, while we know the weather is supposed to be sunny with around 70% cloud cover on a 1 day period, on a third day, if I'm not mistaken, no chance of rain. And how do you think the pitch will play out? And first question to Amitabh, followed by Rahul.
I think
You're talking of, just a second, Amitabh, you were talking, Sagar, of Headingley or Lords? Lords is third test.
No,
Headingley is
not
first.
Lords. We are coming back to WTC.
WTC.
WTC. Acha, WTC.
Yeah.
So sorry. Yeah.
So my take is tomorrow, first couple of hours, maybe even an hour after lunch, there's going to be significant amount of lateral movement, both in the air, off the pitch, and a bit of bounce as well. So it'll be phenomenal for the fast bowlers of either sides. If the Aussies get in, they will try to rip South Africa apart. South Africa will try to punch above their weight. So first 3 hours, the bowlers are going to have their way. There's no question about it.
So does that mean the first 3 hours wins the test? Tricky question. I know a tricky question.
Tricky question. If you can bat through the first 3 hours, then you are possibly in the game. But if you lose four,
Say, for
5 wickets in
example,
the
I'll
first
give you a
3 hours.
scenario, Amitav. So, for example, say Australia bats and Australia is something around, say, in the first 3 hours, 100 for 4. How do you look going forward
South
over there?
Africa is very much in the game.
Then South Africa comes in.
But then, say in day 2, when Australia bowls, South
Yeah.
Africa shall have to bat well. If they too go for 100 for 4,
Then they will score
then the
lesser
Aussies
than
are
what
back in the
Australia
game
would.
again. So you
Yeah,
can't really say that if the first couple of hours you do very well in terms of bowling either sides, they have a significant edge. They have an edge, but it's not a killing edge, because even in day 2, there will be lateral movement and carry.
So again, and I'll come to Rahul also in this part. So compared, I mean, I know Leon is Leon, Nathan Leon is Leon, but Maharaj is no, he's pretty deceptive in such. I mean, he knows how to bowl in Australia. So can he be a good factor, Rahul, when it comes to Lords? Maharaj.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Simply because he's a left-hander and
Mhm.
he will take the ball away. He's a
Mhm.
wrist spinner, so he will take the ball away. Uh, I have a feeling if Australia wins the toss or loses the toss and South Africa puts them to bowl. Obviously, whoever loses the toss will will have to bat first. I somehow have a feeling, Sagar, that that will be fun because I am again saying the test match will be basically if Australia bats first, the test match is going to be very tricky because Marnus Labuschagne and Usman Khwaja in the opening, I have huge doubts. It does not take a South Africa. Maybe a Pakistan can whittle them off. With the form that Labuschagne in, and if South Africa loses the toss and is put into bat, then of course, as Amitabh rightly said, it could be 50 for 5. It could be 50 for 5 for South Africa. Correct. But if Australia is made to bat first, with Khwaja and Labuschagne, because I know the Australian psyche. I have spent 3 years in Australia. I was there. So I know the Australian culture of sports, at least the cricket part. And I'm very critical on the opening shot. I've been critical, nothing of them. The other things which Amitabh said, they will rebuild, they will got us very infrastructure. But the way this conundrum of opening thing is happening, even in the India BGT, if Amitabh would agree with me, Sam Constance, Jack Renshaw, they wanted to have Chris Harris, who's 39, who's retired last days in 2018. So they don't have an opener. They don't have a plan. Australia. Rajiv will maybe be able to add on this. Australia. From 2004, Steve Waugh, that's the invincible side, except the loss in Calcutta. They have won everything. They've won 5 of the World Cups. They are a superstar team. And they can't find an opener to bat. And now with Khwaja retiring, what do they do? They will get into serious trouble. Trust me, any team which doesn't have 2 good openers will not play well in Test cricket with the WTC coming in now. And if Australia by chance loses the toss and with Rabada, good luck to Australia. Good luck. I am telling you the test match will turn with Amitabh's prediction might go haywire. And that is where I've got 35% to Australia, South Africa, if Australia comes back. The opening is bullshit. I mean, let me put it absolutely. Usman Khwaja is good off his legs. Rabada will pitch nothing short. He will put it a fuller length and get that edge induced. He'll get caught. I'm telling you, he will get caught. He scored 232 in Sri Lanka. I watched that innings in Dambula. 232 is a tremendous player. I love Khwaja. Very big fan of him. The way he's made his comeback after 3 years in wilderness. Super turnaround. But he's 38. His eyes are falling. and in Lords, God bless him. If again, but if Australia wins the toss and puts South Africa, then I think it will be over in 3.5 days
So
because South
basically,
Africa,
point
Australia
taken.
will lose.
What we understand is if Australia bats first, Australia still can be in the game because South Africa has to again bat in the first 2 hours of this day too. So over there, Australia still has the edge, but
I
it might
would like to
not
hear
be
from
the
Sudeep
same.
and Rajiv also on
I
this.
will,
What
I
is their
will,
take?
I will.
Yeah, yeah.
I will just summarize what we are understanding. But at the same point of time, because of Australia's opening conundrum, what it may happen is what happens if South Africa bats first, gets a good score? When I say a good score, say let's say 300. Does Australia fall into pressure, Rajiv, or Rajiv first and then Sudeep?
275, 300 is the first target for any team. I can tell you this, especially in these conditions. 275, 300 is really a good score. Now, I don't know whether South Africa have it in them to go. I liked a very, very good point by Mr. Amitava. He called it out correctly. The 100 for 4 for South Africa and the 100 for 4 for Australia are totally different. Australia will come back from 100 for 4. South Africa will go down from 100 for 4. So fantastically put. It's the statement for this podcast, I would say. I think Rahul makes a very good point also that South Africa would have to believe in themselves and then come. And as I also mentioned, that it is their bowling which has to do it for them. So I don't know how the pitch will play. See, we are all saying that the first 2 hours are important and all, but that first 2 hours will be there for the first day, second day also, and probably from the third day it will start withering out. So the first innings for both, if they get that first 2 hours, it'll be helpful for the bowlers for both teams, whichever way it is. So my take is that South Africa can try and do it, but Australia has. So even if the entire BGT series, the openers failed for Australia, but they still won because they are not dependent on the openers. And when Cummins is announcing that it's a one-off test, it means that they are going to revamp and get new players and try to fix this entire squad. So as of now, they're not bothered who's going to perform and who's not going to perform. And I think Australia still hold the edge. I don't. They know how to. Two batters from Australia play. They're done. They'll seal the deal. That's what it
True.
is.
So, Sudeep, on your closing comments on what do you feel?
Uh, I agree with Rajiv that if South Africa bats has to score at least 275 to 300 to it will give them a fighting chance to stay in the test, because the difference between the two sides, in terms of experience, the bowling experience or the batting is a vast, and uh, it, if they are able to score 275 to 300 runs, it's then boils down to how well their bowlers bowl to skittle out Australia as low as possible. uh, so the 275 300, that's a must, to stay in the match.
That's
As
for
far
the
as South
that's
for both the
as for
teams,
the South African.
for both the teams, yeah, both the teams. But at least Australia has that power, to bounce back, which South Africa, they, as far as the past records have shown, they don't, bouncing back, is it's a very rare thing.
So, on the contrary, South Africa may crumble after a good start also. So that's
May
what
crumble,
can
yeah,
be.
yeah, may crumble. And remember, for Australia, even Pat Cummins can score big, which I don't think South Africa. Of course, Mark Jensen is a good player, but in a final match, it's a different ball game. How far
They have Mitchell
it's
Stark also,
it,
1150 half century so far.
and they have to hold on to their nerves. This much I can say. It's a slightly
That's where I think, I
balance
mean,
in favor of Australia. You see,
right, true,
at the
true.
moment, yeah.
So to just to summarize all of them. So what I have a feeling is this will be an interesting game. The pitch may be a bit on the swing and seam side, but the pitch can go up and down in the third, fourth, and fifth day. A bit of spin on the fourth and fifth day, maybe. Australia overwhelming favorites just purely because of their experience that they have of playing in England. The same set of players knowing how to bowl in England, bat in England. That can be a huge advantage for Australia, which makes them the favorite. Uh, for the South African side, what I pick up is it can be a very, very tough because they can crumble even from a good position, like a few times India had done. But for South Africa to win and to stun Australia on this WTC, they have to bowl first. That's what I take from the whole discussion. Yes, Rahul?
I have a question for Amitabh, Sudeep, and Rajiv, and you also. And this is what I wrote in Facebook today also. 8 people of 30 plus, 6 people over 35. 35 plus 6 people. Early summer, I understand temperatures down, but 30 plus 8 people against a team where only one person is over 30. Will age make a difference? Amitabh.
Not really. The Aussies are absolutely pro. So age won't make a difference. Not at all. I think this match will be won by Australia under 4 days. Or maybe 4.5, something like
So
that.
you were saying age
Make,
not an issue
make
at
no
all.
illusions about it.
Okay. So
I
34,
don't think
35, 36, everything's fine. Okay. Yeah.
I also don't think that age will be a factor because this is just a one-off test, and they are barring Josh Hazelwood. Most of them are very match fit. All of them are match fit, and so I don't think this is going to be a in the long run. Of course, there's going to be a transition in this Australian team, but for this particular test, age will not be a factor.
Rajiv, your take.
Yeah, I completely agree with Sudeep. I mean, so one-off test है ना क्या फर्क पड़ता है? It doesn't make a difference. But I have one question for all of you, specifically from Amitava, that you know what? So does many of the times the junior team or the underdog, they need to find motivation from somehow to win this game, right? And that's how things happen. So does South Africa have that kind of motivation to make it happen? An inspirational captain or something like Virat made make 60 overs a living hell for this English. You know, we've heard all these things, right? Temba Bavuma, like his name is very Temba only, right? So, my question is, do they have the motivation to make it happen? I would like to hear from all of you. I personally feel that motivation itself is not there. Only except Rabada. Rabada has motivation because he have got banned and all this stuff. But otherwise, all the others are, yeah. So maybe
In the
I'll
past-
leave it to others.
In the past, we have seen matches which they should have won easily. Those have slipped away. This is an opportunity for them. It's like a cat. It's like a cat who's watching himself on a mirror and painting. So when he watches himself, but when he paints a tiger. So that is the kind of mindset these guys should come out with and play, right? Rather than with the fear that Aussies are number one, has been number one, and will kind of throttle them under 4 days. They should come out and play fearless cricket. That's their only chance. Otherwise, it's Australia 4 days.
Amitabh is absolutely crisp, clear, very, very confident. 4 days, blow away South Africa. So that's a good prediction, actually. I am not still able to understand, and I'm not very sure about that. Yeah, I think this is a very good prediction. The good prediction is he's watched in cricket in England. I've also watched. So yeah, 4 days. I also think it will be 4 days, whichever way it goes. Let's see. Well, hear from Sudeep and Sagar parting on the result. I am saying Australia win, but be ready for a surprise. A pun added to it. I'm not so sure there will be a surprise. There'll be a mixed surrender from South Africa, which all of us think because they're chokers. I don't think. Because Tadenda Bavuma, as rightly Rajiv said, because I read a lot about other countries, after the Dean Elgar's captaincy was taken away, to read about his coach, Shukri Conrad. This guy is very, very good. This coach, very low profile, local Aboriginal person. He's an Aborigine from South Africa, black. He's worked wonders with this team. Good low strike team, whatever it their vagaries, as Amitabh said, the vagary of bypassing the big teams to get to the final. But he's worked well with the team to get a black to captain the side for the first time in a white country where the appetite has been there for 40 years. It's not easy to get Tadendu Bhavuma to be a captain. I have an article which I'll share with you on Wisden, which I have a feeling that might surprise. I have a feeling. But still, 65-35, I stick. 4 days, Australia. I still think, but there might be a surprise.
So just to answer Rajiv and also close the podcast also for today. My thing would be what would be the inspiration? I think the inspiration for South Africa should be 1992 World Cup loss. The inspiration should be the 2024 T20 World Cup loss. Those are again on white ball cricket, but I think this is their chance. I mean, I personally don't see South Africa coming back, and again, and a lot of us do believe also coming back in 2027 and playing the WTC test in 2027. So there's nothing to lose. Don't play to the names that you're batting against. Just play as if you're maybe batting, and I think that's the only inspiration South Africa can draw. Because rest, other than this, everything they will not find any inspiration. They will only find a lot of things to ensure that they don't win, and mentally they don't win. There are enough over there. The only thing is they should say this time or never, and that can be the only thing. That's my personal take on it. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amitav.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Rajiv. Thank you, Sudeep. Thank you, Rahul,
Yeah.
for this lovely
Thank you. Thanks a
conversation.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
May
just before we
the
go,
best
I'd
team.
like to I'd like to thank Amitabh for the very, very short time I gave him to join. I mean, he was just back from office. I called him and he joined. Thanks so much, Amitabh. Really appreciate it. Because I know that you will be
Thank you.
adding a lot of value addition. I am also telling you that we will bug you again in some future podcast and we'll have you as a special guest. Really
Sure.
appreciate you
Thank you.
joining. Thank
My
you so
pleasure.
much.
Thank
Amitabh.
you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining, and
Yeah.
hope the best team wins tomorrow. We'll again come back in the next
Yeah, we'll come
podcast
back for a
sometime
podcast with a
after the
review.
first test in Headingley. See
Sure.
you again. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks all of
Thank
you.
you.
Good night.